Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our MMA MENA clarity session. When you can't wait, how do you make the call? Today's session is brought to you by One Engage, and we will be talking to our panelists, Özlem Karşı Yakalılar, Chief Global Sales, Marketing, and Strategic Growth Officer from One Engage, and Sevgi Gür, the CMO from Property Finder. Welcome, both of you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hello.
Thank you, Linda, for having us.
So I'm going to do a very quick introduction to MMA for the people who don't know too much about us, what we do, and how we do it. So MMA stands for the Marketing and Media Alliance, and we are a nonprofit organization leaning into the future of marketing, leading the industry forward together with our community. Next. So MMA Global, as I said, is a global nonprofit trade association that brings together the full ecosystem of marketers, tech providers, and sellers working collaboratively to shape the future. MMA is by the CMOs, for the CMOs. That's how we position ourselves. We arm the leaders with groundbreaking insights and models that are innovative, evidence-based, scalable, and repeatable, meaning we bring science and technology to the marketing industry. This is our MMA, MENA, and KSA board. We have many companies with us. They're all leading in terms of marketing and how they would like to give back to the industry through their association with the MMA. So we work together through events, through board meetings, through task forces, to bring our information and to bring back the information to the industry. I'm going to be talking about the funnest one, which is Smarties. That's where most of the agencies and the industry engage with us on a more fun level, where we reward creativity, technology in marketing, and efficiencies once a year in Saudi and once a year in Dubai, which is our MENA Awards. And the deadlines are approaching for Smarties KSA. July 30th is our deadline. So if you haven't applied or submitted yet, please go ahead and do so. And we're open for submission for Smarties MENA as well. And now I'm going to go into the subject of today. If you have any questions, please reach out to us directly, Linda Noktakender at MMAglobal.com, and we will get back to you about any of the things that we're discussing today. So there are moments when waiting isn't an option, and decisions need to be made without perfect information. This session will explore how marketers across brands, agencies, and media partners are making confident, timely decisions in a fast-moving landscape. The focus is on how teams balance speed, risk, and creativity, and the frameworks that help them move forward with clarity and momentum. So, I'm going to start off with a simple question for both speakers, and then we'll take it from there. Is speed becoming a competitive advantage in itself, or is the quality of the decision the ultimate matter, the ultimate outcome, let's say? If we can start with Özlem today.
Of course. Yeah, well, speed is a competitive edge, that's for sure, but it's not only the only facts that affects the result for the decision. So it's not only the speed by itself, but also the content of the decision-making elements that needs to be considered while making that specific decision, especially under pressure, because the data cannot be incomplete, the time can be running out, the budgets can be shrinking. Every stakeholder would have their own opinions and everything. So like a little bit of a chaos or something. So within that specific situation, maybe it would be better to, separate the facts and the opinions from each other and see what the situation is by itself via the data that can be gathered by the brand itself, the platforms itself, the agency itself, and the industry itself. So to make the most out of it. So, this can take some time, and under the pressure, it can be very difficult to make this decision. So maybe it would be better to ask if the decision that's going to be taken can be reversed. If yes, then maybe just give it a go and see what's going to happen and then act accordingly. But if it cannot be reversed, so maybe it would be better to slow down and see what the situation is within the data set, and that can be gathered in that specific time interval, and then test and learn and see what happens and evaluate. And so you need to be always hands-on of the situation with the brand itself, because we, from the agency perspective, we need to be the strategic partners, not the executional level vendors for the brands. Is what I believe in, is what I can say.
Yeah. Okay. So Sevgi, from a brand point of view, does the quality get affected when you have to make a decision quick?
First of all, Linda, thank you very much, and thanks MMA. I am a big fan of MMA, and I know MMA more than 10 years. I was just thinking this now. You guys are making industry better with this kind of conversation, events, competition. So thanks for doing that. So I'll just approach from both brand angle, also from a tech, because Property Finder is a tech company. Of course, there is a famous consultant response to this kind of question. It depends. It depends a lot to the context, situation, But if we're gonna go with a more like high level approach, for me, especially in tech, speed is extremely important and can be a big competitive advantage. And I will build what Özlem said. You just need to look what is the cost of delaying a decision. Like if the cost of delaying is bigger than the making the decision, then you just approach differently. But also again, as working in tech as a CMO, most of the things are quite iterative. There is not a decision that you will not be able to reverse, right? Because the tech by definition and the design is a very iterative. But I think with the technology, with AI, everything become quite iterative. Even the more traditional industries are iterative. So my approach will be just go execute, get the learnings, iterate, and then make it better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a very recent example. I won't mention the brand so that we don't put them under the spot again, but there was a very big mistake that happened, and a campaign went out without approval and got a huge backlash in Dubai recently. I'm sure you guys know which one I'm talking about, but so how do you see a reversal of such a decision impacting that company?
Very good question. I mean, again, speed doesn't mean that you should be dirty. I think even in what is your approach, decision-making approach when you go with speed? What is the governance you put?
Yeah.
Because I think the example you give is a very clear example of maybe even if you take time, you will make the same mistake. Was it a outcome of being fast, or was it a output of not having the right governance of the brand decision? For me, as an organization, as a team, as a brand, you need to know how you make decision, and you need to have a very clear process of. And then if you need to go fast, you go fast. But it's most of the time, it is not because you are fast. It is most of the time also my career, my mistakes. I never made a mistake because I was fast. I was just missing a very critical stage, or maybe I was just skipping a very must to do stage in the process. And when you go fast, yes, you might miss it. That's why you need to have a clear governance when it comes to decision making about your brand, about your any decision like in the business.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take it back to Özlem now and ask you from a agency point of view. How do you balance creative instinct with performance metrics when the two seem to point in two different directions? You know, the data says one thing, you know from experience that something else would work. How do you work that into your pitch to your client? How do you prove even when the data is not supporting your decision?
Yeah, well, this most probably leads us to this, one debate that never disappears throughout the years. It's just like, is it the branding or the performance, isn't it? So, from the agency point of view and from the marketing point of view, at the same time, it's not only the agency perspectives, but what I believe in. The thing is, it's not only either or, but the both. Which means, I mean, each and every year, if we only invest on the performance, the outcome of the performance would be expensive because the branding would lack in that sense. So it's the balancing between that we need to consider both and test and learn and see what the outcome would be like, and then optimizing it accordingly would be the best formula to answer that question. Because let's say that there is this launch that's going to be taking place within a specific time interval. Obviously, the branding would be important, but if the business facts, the crisis thing or any unexpected thing is on the table, then of course we need to see what is happening there and decide accordingly in setting the scene first, seeing what's happening at that specific time interval, and then deciding on what to do and what not to do, and what to test and what not to test. So there's no one thing is like there should be the branding by default, but it's the same for the performance level as well. I mean, we as the brand is already have the high level of brand awareness scores, or ad recall scores are high, or any measurement, fine. So we need to only focus on performance. Would be again a sort of would sort of like lack in covering the whole marketing perspective, because when we take a look at the funnel, obviously we need to grab the attention of the target audience, so that we need to get the best out of it from the campaign. So it's not only one formula. It's an organic way of doing things. So, but of course, measurement and the results, are the facts that set the whole story. Is what I can say. So, yeah.
Okay. So, speaking of time intervals and trying to understand signals, let's say, Sevgi, Property Finder operates in a highly competitive and fast-moving market. How do you distinguish between a temporary market signal versus a trend that requires immediate action? Some are very obvious, but the less obvious signals, let's say.
Very good question. I think for us, again, my background is FMCG. I work in Unilever for 15 years. When I compare that kind of industry to where I am at the moment, a marketplace, you have the benefit of having data, millions of data points every minute. And what we do, I mean, again, I'm going to talk maybe for marketing, but also business. We just look at whether there is a pattern or there is a noise. Like noises, for example, I can give the example of last year we had flood in Dubai, which was like all of a sudden everything stopped. But the context dictates that that's not going to be here to stay, right? This is going to be maybe just a temporary observation that we see in the market. But when we have the conflict, the context dictates that there might be a shift in consumer behavior. So it is similar to your previous question. Data by itself is nothing. It's a number. But with the context, that the meaning that you attribute to data, then you understand whether there is something that is changing fundamentally that requires you to think differently as a business. And I always say when people say, what do you do when there is a conflict as a brand, as a CMO? First, what as a business you need to do, right? And what is happening in your industry? Start with the industry, start with your business, role of your business, role of your company, and then what it means for your brand in that context matters. And for us, it is a very simple way of observing the data, using the context to give meaning to data, and then decide whether it requires an action or not. Because most of the time when there is a noise, people want to do something, and that's the most difficult job of a CMO. Let's do a campaign about something, or let's do something about something. The first, I always ask my stakeholders, my team, what are we trying to achieve for the business here before we jump to the execution? And if you really have a meaningful job to be done, meaningful response from your stakeholders to this question that requires a change or an action, then this is the time to act.
That's actually a very important point that you're making, Sevgi, because since the conflict started, we basically launched the clarity sessions to make sure that CMOs are well equipped to do in any time of shifts and disruption that happens. Not just the conflict. The conflict was a big one and it was an obvious one. So like the pandemic, for example, these are very big shifts in the industry and we all have to adapt. But all the CMOs that we've been speaking to, so we've spoken to at least 50 CMOs in the past 3 months, and the conversation has been, don't talk about marketing, talk about the business. It's not just marketing. Marketing is one side of the business. It's probably the side that is facing outwards. So CMOs need to know what their company needs to stand for in terms of business at that point, and does it make sense to go to the market with the shifts that are happening? Okay, so I'm going to take it back now to Özlem and ask, if when a client wants certainty, but the market is changing by the hour, and we do see that in some cases, how do you help them make confident decisions without over-promising from an agency point of view?
Okay, so the certainty by itself, certainty would, probably never be that much certain in the life by itself. It's against the life in general, isn't it? So the best way to handle, to manage is to, again, back to the decision-making processes and everything that we just talked about, is, gathering all at once and see the whole picture. As just mentioned, the business way of thinking. It's not only from one window, but seeing the other view in general, so that evaluating the possibilities would be available in that sense, and then decide with a client which way to go. So it's the judgment, it's the perspective, it's the know-how, it's the way of doing things. Would be a general way of answering this question, Linda, because it's never going to be that much certain in the end, isn't it?
No. But are your clients open to a 1 hour change? Like, have you experienced this where you've had to like respond to something on the dot and you've had to convince the client this is the way to go right now? You know,
Of course. Yeah, of course, of course. I mean, this is again back to the thing about what to lose in the end and what to gain in the end. It's a way of risk management. So if there's this enough courage from the client side, then, and if there is this, a background data set and the whole, see the judgment level, the business way of thinking and everything ready as the infrastructure, if we say let's go and see what happens together, then we're in it. And it's very, it can be very fruitful and very distinctive within the category even. It can turn out to be, normal as well, but that's the way, the nature of it. Yeah. So the main thing is the core value is reading the room, let's say, listening to the target audience, taking the priorities of the business into consideration, and then designing a strategy for the media side or the marketing side or the communication side, and acting accordingly would be the best way to manage the uncertainty. So would be what I could say.
Okay. Okay, great. So Sevgi, you're in a company where data is abundant, right? We've already covered that. There's data everywhere. You're a platform, online platform. So when data is so abundant, is there still space for the CMO to say experience, intuition, customer insight? I know. Can a CMO still say I in a data world? Because in the past, it used to be very much CMO centric, like their knowledge, their influence, if you want, came from the knowledge of reading markets, of understanding different elements of the industry. But now with so much data, like people are a little bit overlooking what the CMO brings to the table and more show me the dollars and where they're headed.
Yeah. Again, very good question. My personal experience, like my professional experience, was always like I always work very data driven companies. Whether you are CMO, junior, senior, you need to really have a storyline backed up, very strong data, but with a good insight. I am a big believer of the role of CMO become even more interesting from the angle of data is there, but what is the insight? What we are gonna do with that data, right? Because this is where I think maybe you call it intuition, maybe you call it like subject matter expertise. Depending on your brand, your point of view as a brand, because otherwise, why do we have a brand? We will just say platforms, like there is property finder, there is buyer. Like, why do we need both? Because the value proposition and what brand achieves is different, right? Then the role of the CMO, it's not about it is more like what is the brand point of view that we can bring to the table, and what kind of meaning we can give this data that will lead to an action that will help us to differentiate our brand even further. Because again, I am going to give a practical, a reflection from my experience. Tech is, especially with AI, is very available, right? Tech is not a differentiator, even for tech companies. Like 10 years old are developing apps. So then we need to ask ourselves, like companies, what is the one only thing that people will not take away from us? It is fundamentally your brand. Who is managing your brand? Your CMO. And if there is no differentiated point of view that manage in the right manner, meaningful for the business, meaningful industry, but more importantly, meaningful for the users, then how are you going to survive in a long term? So for me, sometimes people say, is CMO important? CMO, it is very important. It is just the job we are doing, evolve in a place where we need to be orchestration of all the elements of peace, product, place, everything, but also bring a stronger point of view backed by data. I know it's a long answer, so there is no I, but there is more role for brands to play to make the CMO role more meaningful, but also more importantly, bring the role of brand to the table even stronger.
Okay, so Özlem, as a chief, officer in strategy and all of that, have you ever made a decision on behalf of a client that looked wrong, but then actually turned out to be correct? And what did that process look like and teach you as a agency director?
Okay. Well, that's a tough question. First of all, thank you for asking me this.
We all have, this is what Clarity Session is all about: being completely honest and talking about both our mistakes and our achievements.
Okay. So deciding on behalf of the client, I can say both yes and no, because at the end we need to, get the confirmation from the client. You know what I mean? As an agency, obviously.
Yeah.
But from the agency perspective, yes, we, gathered each and everything on behalf of the clients, asking their stakeholders, and gather all the stuff and design the strategy around it, and make it a full journey on behalf of the client, yes, and present it to the client, and then get the confirmation and then act accordingly. It was not that much of a risky business, so I'm not sure if I can, answer that question in the way that you want me to. But the thing was not that much risky, actually. If I were to, but let's take it to this level. Live session.
Go there.
And live. Yes, we would do what we have done in a sharper way on behalf of the client, and get into the agenda of the client and state the facts, this and that. If this goes like this, then the output would be like this, but this is a potential. If this and this, if this and this, are you in this with me? If yes, I'll go straight forward, and I'll be hands-on with this thing, and I get back to you, and optimize or do whatever needs to be done, including the stakeholders including the stakeholders management on behalf of you, is what I could say, and get and take the responsibility with the client. Yes, I would say that. So at that moment, what we would probably get the experience of being as a strategic partner for the client, and thinking on behalf of the business of the client would be the best way to say that, as a learning that can be gotten out of that situation.
Yeah, so I think then you're coming very clear. You're coming out very clear about your position and how you approach your clients. You are actually a strategic partner. You don't consider yourself to be an agency for your client. You're actually one of the stakeholders in your client's success. So this is a very fresh approach for an agency to take. So it's
Thank you, thank you. Because I mean, if it's only the executional level, AI,
Can do
which
it.
probably, we'll maybe we'll talk about that. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, AI is already within ourselves, huh? So yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Sevgi, as a CMO, what decisions do you insist on making personally, and which decisions are deliberately like you're comfortable delegating that kind of decision, but this decision needs to stay with the CMO?
Maybe I'll talk about more like C-level decision that we need to do, because I think there is not any decision a CMO can do alone, right? Because every decision a CMO makes needs to 100% align with the business, rest of the business, and so to the business goal. For me, the most critical decision for a business from a CMO perspective, it always comes to value proposition related, because I strongly believe that everything is noise. If you don't have a very clear view on what is your value proposition as a brand, as a company, and with the change that is happening around us, again, in the past, and I sound very old when I say that, but value propositions were much more long term. But like now with the changes happening, you need to twist. Of course, you are not fundamentally changing by you exist, but the way you approach it needs to change much quicker. So this is a decision I think I will feel very uncomfortable delegating. This is the first one. And the second one is role of brand in the growth of the company, because that's also very, how to say, open to debate, including board, and everyone has an idea how brand should contribute to growth and the expectation around it. You always need to bring clarity, alignment, and that's most of the time the most, how to say, tension area between CMOs and rest of the, C levels. And this requires a lot of effort from a CMO actively work, engage, pivot, and so on. Like investment strategy and the value proposition.
Yeah. Now, I think, who were we talking with? I think it might have been you, Sevgi, when we were talking about brands having personality. And just like, seasons come and we change sort of how we look. So as a person, I'm probably classic in the way I dress, but seasonality will come and I might go a little bit floral in the summer, which is very against my usual personality, but my value proposition long term is I'm classic. So
yeah, very good example. Yeah. I was just explaining someone, for me brand is style, while your campaign, all the other decisions are like fashion trends. But if you don't know your style and it is not clear for everyone internally and externally, then that doesn't work. And that's really the I mean, AI, this, that, I think we just like overcomplicate it. Fundamentally, the biggest challenge of a marketeer and CMO is to make sure that stays clear and relevant. Because you can be super clear, but it might not be relevant.
Irrelevant.
So,
okay, so you both touched on AI, so I'm gonna go there now. I'll start with One Engage as an agency point of view. In today's AI-powered environment, do you think decision making has become faster or simply more complex?
Decision making by using AI. I mean, on an operational level, the repetitive jobs to be done by AI is the one layer of the whole ecosystem, and using AI to evaluate and decide based on the agency's knowledge, the agency's way of doing things plus AI. I mean, it's a test and learn again thing on our side as well. And it makes it easier, yes. But sometimes it's making it harder for us to decide even. So it's still we're still in the process, by the way. I mean, but the core question of the strategy that needs to be built for the client's business. I mean, the way of working and the tools and everything. If the core questions are asked at the very center and replied accordingly, then there's going to be no, uncertainty in that sense. And so it's not going to be that much hard. But of course, we are using tools and everything and testing actually what is the best for that specific case and what can be better, or if it could be different is the way we experience it. So so the two levels of the whole ecosystem, from the executional level, I mean, yes, it's on its way. Even the platforms obviously generate the creatives, optimize and everything, and you know they have their own solutions for that, obviously. And as an agency, our duty, let's say, should be to, you know, put them together to see the whole point of view of the whole campaign and structure, and evaluate accordingly or optimize accordingly, rather than being in the silos. So yeah, at that point, we use AI, and yes, we have the tools, and so in the end, it makes the life, yes, easier is what we can say, Linda, but
Okay,
it's a process. It's a
what
process.
is your personal favorite tool so far that has come out of AI that you use
Wow.
at work, other than ChatGPT? I'm gonna take that out of, and Coworker.
Because it's been a while since we've been together, right? For how many years?
Yeah, I know, but like we are required to transcend ChatGPT and you know, Claude so quickly that we need to get to the next stage. So I'm just asking this to every marketer I'm meeting, just so I understand what are the interesting products that they are engaged with.
Well, Claude, yeah, I mean, ChatGPT is sitting right next to me.
In Google,
And yeah, Google, obviously. So it's been a while that we've been together. So yes, the Google products, the Gemini and ChatGPT, plus Cloud nowadays is what I can see. I'm experiencing it. From the coding side, I have some room to grow there, so I have to admit that. But I want to, you know, jump into that and experience it on my own. But within the agency, our co-workers are into each and every platform to generate solutions and everything from that corporate perspective. But personally, nowadays, Claude is, I can say, on top of the others.
Claude is the bestie right now.
So is it the answer you got from the others? Is it
Claude? Claude seems to be a lot of people's besties. It's doing its best. Yeah.
So,
Claude has come out with like really, as you said, very workable solutions, and it's simple enough for us to use it without overcomplicating our knowledge base, let's say. Okay, so Sevgi, what do you believe about AI? Like, do you believe that it will increasingly make marketing decisions for us, or will it simply make human decision makers better?
So my conviction about AI, there is gonna be a lot of figuring out for us to give any response to that question. I don't know. So I really don't know how it will work. But I have a couple of hypotheses how marketing or business can look like with AI. First, I believe that if we use it in the right manner, it will allow us to spend more time for thinking and more quality work, because majority of the agentic world,
Yeah.
I believe in that. We will create a kind of orchestration, different tools doing whatever we want to achieve, and eliminate legwork from the daily life. But then it will depend on us, business, human beings, marketeers. What do we do with the time we left? And I give this example. I always say that now we have a Terminator next to us. Either you're a marketeer, commercial, it doesn't matter. If you really use personally, professionally, AI, you are 100 times stronger than what you used to be. But then what do you do with this
With that
power?
strength.
So I am hoping, and I don't think that it will happen tomorrow, and maybe it will take many, many years, because I am still expecting digital transformation to happen, which started 20 years ago.
You believe it still hasn't happened?
No. Like there are so many still broken journeys and experiences, companies not connecting the dots. So we all say that AI is going to change the world, but we have an existing world that we are in. Either we will forget about that word and we will build a new word, which is very utopic, or it will take a little bit longer for us to figure out how to make AI like a core of everything we do. But my hope, and I am a big believer that that's going to happen one day. We don't even know how different our world will be if we really utilize the AI fully, because it is going to show the possibilities we never imagined. So we just assess AI with the world we are, but I believe it is going to be a completely different world that we are going to be within midterm and long term. It's again, I think it's going to take longer than most people assume, but it is going to be a better world for marketeer, for brands, for everyone. Tech, right? Tech always makes humanity better. I didn't see any time on the history where we have tech, and tech always help us to evolve some way of doing things in a different but better way, and AI is going to do the same.
Yeah, we base our predictions about AI with our knowledge today of what AI can do. But we really, and this was also a big prediction we had. We were hosting Humane CMO in Saudi last week, and everyone's answer from 5 different roundtables where we had 35 CMOs talking about the one thing that they cannot predict is where AI is going for marketeers and what kind of opportunities it's gonna present to us at that stage. So let me ask you the same question I asked Özlem. What is your favorite AI tool today at work?
I don't have a favorite per se, but what I am trying, because I am an analog person by definition. With my age, we are all analogs, right? So who is gonna be AI? The generation start their life, and this is a gap that we will never be able to close. And that's also my guidance to everyone. Instead of we all talking about it, just go and create an ecosystem for you, because that's my personal and professional challenge to me. Any task I am doing as a CMO, how I can create an ecosystem of tools that I can use to make my decision making better, easier, whatever the goal that you have. And you need to be clear, because even when you said AI is making decision faster, that's not my goal. My way of looking at AI, am I creating something better by using AI as a marketeer? Or am I allowing my team to be more creative, for example? Because creativity is really I think most, again, tension point of AI, how we can be creative as human beings. So be clear on your goal, personal, professional, and experiment with different things. I am, for example, doing a lot of social media posts using different AI tools to see what are the possibilities of creativity with AI. That's for me the biggest question, because everything I can understand and I can accept AI being part of our life. Creativity is the sensitive topic for me. And
even as it gets better, even as it's getting so good that we are now barely able to tell which one is AI and which one isn't.
Yeah. But Linda, that's the question, right? The moment users, your consumers, looking everything brands create and thinking, is this AI and is this not AI and is this real or not real? What are we gonna do as marketeers? Because in the old world, you were doing something and it was clear it was coming. So I think the biggest question around AI for marketeer, are we talking to algorithms? Are we talking to end users really? Or and the consumers, what they are gonna believe in a world everything can be done by AI. So for me, these are the biggest questions, bigger questions for us to figure out and respond. Because then you can also argue that you don't need marketing in that new world. Right?
I don't know if we're ever gonna give up on marketing completely, but will it matter?
Good to know as a CMO, I am
will it matter if it's AI or not if it's done well?
Yeah,
that's my next question. So when it comes to creativity, I know a lot of brand marketers are very weary of agencies going, the AI way. But as it gets stronger and better, and will it matter? If it's just a cost-cutting thing, will it matter?
It doesn't matter. I think
brand values, if it's true to the propositions of the brand, of the role of the brand, will it matter that it's not human-made anymore?
For me, it doesn't matter whether it's AI or not. What matters is, remember again, 15 years ago, Nike will do a campaign and everyone is going to talk about it. When everyone can produce everything, everyone can create content, what difference makes when the brand creates the content, right? So for me, it is not the problem of whether it's AI or not. When it becomes so available to everyone, like clutter increases so much, how you are going to even see in that way. So I think these are really
but it's an opportunity for CMOs and agencies, I think, to show how they can rise above that kind of threat. Okay, so we were talking about teams. How do you create a culture where teams feel empowered to make decisions without the fear of failure? Because, the CMO sits in a position where he has to justify, or she has to justify everything to the rest of the C-suite. But the team sort of has to justify everything to their CMO. So how do you empower your team to make decisions without that fear?
I think marketing is a function. I always tell my stakeholders, we have to make mistakes to make it right. Right? And I think that's kind of alignment in the company. We need to experiment, and sometimes it is going to work and it is not going to work. First, you need to have an alignment with your peer group to take out this pressure on your teams of judgment. Because sometimes internal judgment is worse than, external one. And the second one, I am a big believer of, again, experimentation. Do it in a small scale, sandbox type of approaches really work, especially in today's world. So for example, I don't believe anymore make a big campaign and change the world. That's not happening. It's like you can still do, but the cost of doing it is just too big now. So it is more an always on, and a lot of little things that lead us up to something meaningful. This is how we structure our communication. And in that communication model, I think people feel safer because the risk we are taking is small. Then you can ask, how do you then create bigger impact? Then we have a couple of big bets where we spend a little bit more time and be a little bit risk aversive and try to do things that we feel more comfortable.
Okay, great. So I'm going to have a closing question now, and I would like an answer that the viewers today, or the people who are going to watch us later on demand, to come out with one very clear statement. If everyone in this room remembers just one principle the next time they're faced with a decision they can't delay, what would that principle be? Let's start with Özlem.
Okay. Well, the ones who are capable to make better decisions in a faster and in the best way would be the ones taking the consciousness level into consideration while using AI and any other automation systems, and also taking the business values and the priorities into consideration would be what I would say as to sum up the whole the whole session and answer you back on this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Özlem. Sevgi, what do you want everyone in the room to remember? The one principle, the next time they have to make a decision, fast.
Binda, you asked this question 2 days ago. I am thinking for the last 2 days. I even asked ChatGPT, Claude. I came up with my answer. I didn't like it. There is no, I think, one principle that I can say and it will apply. So that's
You're
my
very
answer.
honest.
I am
a lot
sorry.
of people don't tell us that they prepare their answers ahead of time. So
No. I prepared and I wanted to double check whether I am like missing something. But again, it was my initial instinct when you asked that question. I, at least myself, always look at what is the cost of delaying that in business context. Personal is different, but if you are talking about business context, there is a moment that you can't miss. And if you can calculate the cost of delay, you should go and take the risk, make the bet, whatever, and choose the action. I generally believe choosing action is both business and professional, personal context is a better way because at least you learn something. But cost of delaying is a key criteria that I will suggest everyone to look at it.
I love it. The opportunity cost of not making that decision is the one that can cost you higher long term.
Yeah.
Excellent. So
I was better than ChatGPT on that one. I hate to add that they're human being beat AI on that.
I always say, as long as AI is your editor and not your author, you're still okay. So
yeah.
I would love to thank you both for being in this session today. Thank you for all your knowledge and for your answers. And it was really a pleasure hosting both of you. And I look forward to more conversations like this in the future under less
uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Yes,
exactly.
But out of uncertainty, I think a lot of opportunities have come out, and we've all seen it in the industry.
True.
So it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Özlem. Thank you, MMA. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.